Hello, everyone. I think we're live now. Welcome, everybody. How are things going? Julio Martínez, dialing from New York here. I'm your host today. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Abacum. I'm gonna, give a few seconds before I keep on talking here and introducing our amazing guest speaker today. So people, join the webinar. It's a very exciting session. Of course, a very hot topic. It's causing waves in the ecosystem, AI in finance. So we cannot be more excited to be, hopefully sharing this amazing thought leadership with everyone here in the hands of our friend Nicolas. More on that in a second. I'm seeing people still joining. So let's give 5 more seconds and then we kick off. Good. Again, hello everyone and welcome. I'm your host, Julio Martínez. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Abacum. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you all. I'm very excited about this amazing topic in the hands of our friend and a key pillar of the FP&A and finance community, Nicolas Boucher. Welcome, Nicolas.
Well, thank you, Julio, to invite me and also to invite me on the topic that I get a lot of questions about how is finance going to change and how AI is going to impact finance. So looking forward to discuss with you, but also we have the chance in this format to get a lot of questions from the audience. So looking forward to see all of the questions from people in the chat.
Absolutely. We'll have time for questions. Please don't be shy and share those questions with us. Nicolas, you need no introduction, really. But hey, I wanted to still go ahead and share a little bit about you. Nicolas Boucher is the founder of AI Finance Club. So definitely the person to talk about AI in finance. And of course, I recognize thought leader on AI in the finance community, but more generally speaking, also FP&A and controlling and finance. He has trained over 5,000 people on ChatGPT for finance and regularly shares his insights with more than 1 million people in the finance community. So, we're definitely very excited to have you with us today.
Well, thank you. And I think that's really a chance that I see that I got this experience in finance. I'm a finance person like most of the people that are going to join today. And this experience when AI came, I always loved using technology. And when AI came, or generative AI, I would say, because AI is there since a long time, I felt like, a kid at Christmas that gets a gift, like a video game, and that this video game, you cannot stop playing. And I remember it was November 2022 when I got access, one of the first ones to get access to ChatGPT 3. And I was thinking, wow, this thing is too good, it will go away. And luckily for me and for all of us, it's not gone away. And yeah, for me was really to look at how we can use it for business and especially for finance. And since then, I am on a mission to help all of the finance professionals on learning how to use AI for finance. Because, we are really good in Excel. We are really good in PowerPoint. We are really good in our ERP. And I really believe we could be the champions of AI for business.
That's a formidable mission that we truly share with you here at Abacum. So I can't wait to hear more about your thoughts on that. Team, the agenda for today, we have 3 main topics that were shared previously. First, separating the hype from the useful. So obviously AI is very popular, but where do we find hype, where it's really useful and generating impact? Second, we have best ways to use AI to your advantage. And third, how to build your AI roadmap for a finance function, or generally speaking, from a business perspective. Of course, at the end, we'll leave plenty of time for audience Q&A. So please share your questions. Don't be shy. We love them. I'll try to monitor them as they come along. Some of them will be answered on the spot. Some of them maybe later. Please continue sharing your questions in the chat. Look, we wanted to start this with a poll question. So I think might be interesting to hear a little bit about your perspectives on AI, and what do you think when you hear AI in finance? What does it mean to you right now? So let's start with that, because it's also helpful for Nicolas and I to then channel the discussion later on.
Yeah, and I think even when you answer, don't, like, you can answer with the poll, but also if you have something in mind, like, write it in the chat. Because if you say, I cannot wait to start using it, well, tell us why. Or if you're already using it every day, give us some examples. Like this, we feel that you are with us. We also get some input from you to adapt also this webinar to you. So please use the poll plus the chat to give us some answers.
Exactly. Use the chat actively. It's always very exciting for us. Good, there we go. So can't wait to start using it. That's definitely the winner, Nicolas. So that's going to be, definitely making our content today, very, very relevant for everybody. We can dig back on that later. Without further ado, and we'll use these answers to guide the conversation, let's start with the first part, separating the hype from the useful. So my initial question to you, Nicolas, of course, is, what are the common misconceptions you've come across when it comes to AI in finance?
Yeah, so I would say the first one is that because everybody is impressed by seeing ChatGPT being able to answer a question like this, then everybody feels, okay, AI is the magic one, that if I give my Excel file, it will do all of the work for me. And first, we are not there yet, really, so everybody can be assured or disappointed, but we're not there yet. And also you need to understand what means AI. AI is not only ChatGPT. AI first is basically machines doing something like humans can do, or even better than us, but with intelligence. And if you take Excel doesn't have AI, because Excel will always be able to do one thing. If you give an addition to Excel, even if you give it like 100 times, it will always need that you give the formula to add two numbers. But with a machine and with intelligence, artificial intelligence, it will learn that if you give 100 times the same formula, it will say, okay, the last 100 times it was always the same result. Now I don't even need to have the formula to calculate it. I can tell you the answer because it learned it. Like both of us can learn language, or like both of us as a kid, we recognize that a dog looks like a dog. And that's basically AI is replicating human intelligence. And that's really the big difference between the tools that we are used to have before and the new tools now. So you have several fields in AI. You have first the machine learning that was used long time ago, where basically you give a lot of data, and from the data, the AI will recognize some patterns, some variables. And like if you watch Netflix, if you watch a lot of Netflix, then Netflix will know, oh, you like horror movies, so I will suggest you horror movies. And this is the same if you use that for finance. If you give a lot of historical data with a lot of external data, you might, the AI will recognize pattern and will be able to forecast data for you. So that was already there a long time ago, but now with the processing power is much more powerful and you can do much more. What you have also that was in finance a lot before was OCR. OCR is the recognition of text. And like when you have this invoice in paper that you scan and that you recognize the text, the computer recognize the text. Well, that was already in a lot of big companies used for accounts payables. But now you have on top a layer of NLP, which is natural language processing. And that's quite recent, especially with GPT, where based on the text you will give, the AI will understand what it means and will, with enough context, will provide an output from it. And so if now today you give an invoice, you don't need a human in between to book that in the ERP. It will automatically map the invoice for you. And that's what we do when we are in ChatGPT and we ask a question, give me the 10 best KPIs for CFOs. Then it knows from all of the model what are the best KPIs, and we'll give you that. And I think that's important to understand all of these different fields, and there are even more. And you also need to understand the last point, that the AI tools that most of the people use today, which are the chatbot like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot, they are not connected to anything. And because they are not connected to anything, then they cannot change your files. They cannot read your files. They cannot book the entries. And the next step that we will see in the future is when those tools are connected to your own tools, then it will start changing a lot of things, because instead of just answering a response, it will all start booking journal entries or do analysis to help you.
That's super interesting, Nicolas. Thank you so much for sharing and keeping a track and monitoring the comments here in the chat. And, AI will be more reliable than humans. And maybe that's a prediction here, and way easier to manage than humans as well, right? So that, I wanted to flag that well from Michael. Look, let's move to the following up question. There is a lot of talk about AI replacing certain finance responsibilities, right? To Michael's point. Do you think there is any weight to that, Nicolas?
So in terms of so I think like our jobs, and if you think like agricultural periods, like our grandparents, they never used Excel. So that already changed. Your parents, maybe when they were young, there was no e-commerce. And now when you look at it, there is a lot of companies working just on cloud, working on e-commerce. So it always, like, there are waves where jobs are changing generally. Now, if you look at finance, do you think today somebody could work in finance without Excel? Julio, what do you think?
I think probably you still to master Excel or a good combination of Google Sheets as well. Still to this date, I think that's very needed.
Yeah. But if you think about 38 years ago, like the people who saw the Excel coming, they were, no, like, I want to use my calculation, my calculator. I don't want to use, or I want to do it by hands. And so evolution is coming, but is getting us from mundane tasks to something more valuable. And AI is just going to help us do less robotic tasks. So if you think about encoding invoices, if you think about crushing the data, so making sense of the data by combining the data, if you think about finding outliers, if you think about finding what is the best graph, all of this can be done already today. But once you have the graph in front of you, once you see the anomaly, the outlier, who is going to call the business? Who is going to walk through the production? Who is going to talk to the management to really explain what happened and to make things change? That's humans. And if you have with your suppliers a problem of payment, if you have with your client, you don't get the cash, still humans, when they take their phone or they write a nice email, will have much more impact than AI. And that's all of these human aspects is what we'll still need to build much more on. But also understand that AI is going to be an assistant, and that we can train and make some work for us that we either don't want because AI is better than us on this, or because AI is faster than us in this. And again, like, it could be, it's not only AI, it's just automation, and generally it gets better, technology gets better. There is much and more APIs, because today humans are going in one tool, get the data, and then we go another tool to pull the data inside. Tomorrow, with a lot of APIs, API means that two systems can talk together, then humans don't need to be in between, but instead make sense of the data when they look and they see what is the data both combined, what is the added value. So in a sense, yes, our jobs are changing, But for me, it will just change to more human skills and less mundane task. But you will need all of you to be able to manage the AI, to be able to do more human skills and human tasks.
Thank you so much. I think that's really insightful. And I'm reading here some comments in the chat from the audience. And I think, there is this common understanding, right, that AI is going to effectively multiply us as finance professionals, right? It's a multiplication factor for us so that we focus more on value additive parts of the value chain that we have in finance. Probably to your point, early adopters of AI will have a biggest competitive advantage here, and probably AI is not replacing us, but actually maybe people that really know how to master AI and use it effectively will maybe surpass us, right? So I think it's important to be. Yeah.
I have a good example. If you think 10, 15 years ago, I think in finance and in FP&A, if we had just like a good table where the figures were good and where we could combine, I would say, from different systems, and where we could highlight with one or two good comments, our job was done. Today, if you don't have a live dashboard, if you don't have like an interactive dashboard where people on their phone can click and get everything, then it's basically is not enough for the demand that we get from management and from our business partners. And that's also something that is going to change with the technology. The more the technology enables us to do more, the more the demand from outside will increase. Because if they see, yeah, I see that you have live data. I see that you don't need 1 week to do all of the closing because you can have an instant closing. I see that you have tools that do graph for you. Why should they not expect more from us? And that's what to think is not only finance inside, is what people want from us as well.
That's an amazing point. And look, I think referring back to the pool and the answer that the audience provided, right, people can't wait to use AI. And I think it's very wise to try to stay very close to technology, how it's evolving and how it's empowering us to be more impactful. From an FP&A perspective, FP&A teams are the conductor of the orchestra, right? And oftentimes all we have is a broken button, right? AI is playing this critical role in helping FP&A teams drive the operational cadence of the business by removing those mundane tasks that you were referring to. I'm reading some questions here from the audience. I'll squeeze them in later in a second. Let me move to the following one, which is the last question from this first part, how to separate hype from useful AI. And look, it's known that finance are working more and more with revenue and sales teams. So Nicolas here, from your privileged perspective, how is AI impacting the way sales and finance teams work together?
So I think sales has so many data points today. If you look at the CRM tools, if you look at minutes with clients, if you look at even from customer side, how they are using the tools, if you have stores, like when they are visiting the stores, or if you have a website, like the website analytics, or even social media analytics. And for us, it is to transcribe in understanding the past. So when there are revenues, like to understand the variances with the budget, but also to forecast the next months, to forecast also to help production if we have to produce more or less, and to forecast to help the management guide the company. And if us with the sales team, we both have access to this amount of data and have a help from AI that can first structure the data better, because if you have some trends that are coming from the calls, some trends that are coming from text, but that are really hard to capture. But AI with NLP, so with a language understanding, can start understanding if the recent reviews were more positive or more negative, can start understanding in the calls if there are more and more people interested or less and less. And then you can get some indicators that you will never have had before, because AI can process that at a faster way than a human, but also put that in front of your nose that as a human, you understand it as well. And this is really what I think some of the tools like HubSpot, Salesforce, they start to have this AI layer on top. But even small companies, you can today put like all of your emails that you receive or customer reviews and ask a rating from 1 to 5 and ask, like, you train a bit ChatGPT and say, explain like what should be a rating of 5, what should be a rating of 1. And then like every week you could see, oh, is our rating increasing or decreasing? And like this, you get already today a help from AI to make sense of data that you have, but you are not using today. And that is, for me, like how sales and finance together can work, because we are so dependent on sales team to understand the variance analysis, but also to understand the future. And if we can use AI to make our work better for both of us, to plan better and to understand better our sales, then we can spend more time on doing something that has value for the company. And also, if we know that spending $1 more in a specific promotion, because we run a lot of tests with AI, then we are going to spend this dollar more and then make more money for the company. And both sales and us, we are happy.
I love it. Love it. And this is a great transition to the next part of the webinar. I'm reading some amazing questions here that actually relate to this second part, right? How do we use AI to our advantage? That's the key point here.
How do we use AI for what? Can you repeat?
For our advantage, right? The best ways to use AI to your advantage, potentially use cases. And look, the question, maybe another way to frame it is what is AI making the biggest impact for finance teams in the short and medium term? And then as part of that, what are some of the common AI tools finance teams are adopting and what they are using them for? And this is related to some of the questions here. So I'll be throwing in, Nicolas, bear with me.
Okay.
Some nudges.
What I can do, I prepared like 3-4 slides. The first one, before we talk about, I would say, specific tools, there is 1 or 2 tools that we are all using now is generative AI. So either ChatGPT or a Copilot or Gemini. And some of you might have seen already, but for me, I identified 5 groups of use cases for finance. Is first, everything about productivity. So if you are using ChatGPT, and even if we are in finance, even if we work with figures, actually we spend much more of our time speaking, talking, writing, doing documentations. And this is why it's going to help us a lot and is already helping us, because you can write faster your ideas in a better way and in a more convincing way. Then if we think about long form documents, it's really powerful to write all of these long procedures that you need to write. And this is going to save us a lot of time. But one aspect that I think is underutilized is that we have so much tool that we have to use every day, and we might use only 10% of it. Well, the thing is, those generative AI tools, they have all of the documentations, plus they read internet about all of the people giving advice on how to use these tools. So they will help you use Excel, PowerPoint in a better way if you tell them your problem and you ask for a solution. What I also like is, and I have a principle like this, if you have to spend more than 5 minutes in one email, just use ChatGPT or Copilot for this, because I'm not a natural English speaker, and a lot of the people today in the audience are not. But even if you are one, I'm sure you cannot write as fast and as good if you know how to prompt it. And the last one, on financial analysis, you can use those tools to help you with the analysis. So it will not do exactly all of it for you for a lot of reasons: confidentiality, scaling, because you cannot do a lot in one chat box, and also auditability. Nobody can audit your work that is in the chat. But you can start an analysis by knowing, for example, how to do a cohort analysis for SaaS companies. It can help you how to do that in Excel or in Python. So that's with generative AI. And I have some course showing that, but then you have other tools that are really specific for finance. And let me show that to you.
Awesome. Actually, this is touching base on some of the questions. What tools that are specific for finance people can use, and for what use cases people are asking about is scenario planning. This is coming from Jack Bateman. Scenario planning. What do you think of generated recommendations there? Actually, what are the best prompts to use? Right? How do you think of that? How to connect some tools together, like Pipedrive, Monday.com, QBooks, Excel.
So, okay, that's a lot of questions at once. So in terms of, I will say, first, some examples of tools. They are not really FP&A tools, but to show you where it is going, because those tools exist already. So you have several tools. One, for example, which is on travel management and expenses. This tool, so Abzen, what they do is they will read all of the receipts and do the work of the accounting team to approve or not, and then only flag the problems to the finance people. And imagine that if you have a team going to China in a gentleman clubs after a really late conference, then you might get the receipt because they are like, okay, let's try to get the drinks expense. But in your policies, you might have that, okay, no, those clubs are not under our policies. But if it's in Chinese, who is going to be able to read that? Well, this tool can, and this tool will be able to check, oh, what type of establishment is that? And so then it will flag that. Another tool that I really like, the founder is Sasha Orloff. This tool works in the premises that if you have subledger, like revenue, like your cash, your bank, your payroll, and your expenses, if you have good subledger that have good data, then the accounting can be done in a like 99% automated. And so this is more for startups or for companies that have a really good tech stack. But the premises is with APIs, then AI can work because the data is good, and AI can help you, give you insights straight away through NLP, and also just some algorithm that are turned to show you the best graphs on your, for example, LTV or CAC. Then you have some specific tools that have chosen one really big problem, but unique problem in finance, and Trillion. They are really good at looking at contracts. For example, if you have a leasing contract or a contract for revenue recognition, and they will go through the contract and highlight all of these mini details that are really hard to find when you're alone. And they will show what is the impact on your booking for revenue recognition or lease accounting, and also show you in the future what it means for you. So there we use a mix of OCR and algorithm to show what is the impact on accounting. And the last one that I have is Numera, where it's more like having a virtual employee doing for you the booking, doing for you the accounts receivables, and you can chat also. And that's really an example of what could be the future of finance, because if you have a virtual employee with you, you can ask questions, or other departments can ask questions. And this employee can book the invoices, can do some of the work. And like this, as a team, you can work on other tasks. So those are some examples. If after we can talk specifically on scenario, because I have 1 or 2 slides on this, but let's check the other questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to flag a couple of questions here that came, and I want to cover them actually because obviously I'm very passionate about the topic. And Dimitri, 1 second, we'll cover confidentiality and the issues around data confidentiality later on. So, but no worries, it's definitely a very hot and a relevant topic when we think of AI. But we have here Fernando asking about what about planning tools, and then we also have Jeremy asking, basically, he understands that he's trying to get closer into FP&A. He's learning Excel as the core discipline, but from a technical skill set perspective, what should I be considering in addition to Excel to also get ahead on the use and application of AI in practice, particularly around modeling, forecasting, reporting, and analysis. And I think what AI is really doing in the financial planning and analysis space and in the planning category is really unlocking what we have called here at Abacum the fourth generation of FP&A software. Of course, there have been different waves of software solving for the FP&A problem, more legacy, 20 years old. And right now, we are emerging out in the fourth generation, those solutions that are really incorporating AI into the core of their product. And it's not that easy, but once you crack that, you are unlocking tremendous power. And the way we're doing that, and solutions will be doing that in the FP&A space is, of course, automating the mundane tasks that Nicolas spoke about, like repetitive tasks that you are removing from your day-to-day. You are pulling operational data from your CRM, your HRIS, your BI tool, and then all that cleaning, all that mapping, can be really done automatically, and AI is only accelerating that. I think more importantly, because that was also fairly covered with ML, machine learning previously, and some other mechanisms. I think what is becoming very, very exciting is the part of generating strategic insights. And the reality is that AI is bridging this gap between raw data and then the insights that you want to offer. And this is where we are seeing a key multiplication effect, right? The fourth generation of FP&A platforms are using AI to analyze raw data and find clear trends and provide them to the user, to the finance team, so they can then ask the questions that matter to the different stakeholders in the business. So AI doing the heavy lifting in identifying new business opportunities, having access to the wealth of data across the organization. And of course, real-time risk mitigation is another use case where, at least we are heavily investing. You don't want to be waiting until the month end to spot and respond to red flags, right? Probably that's too late and then you become very reactive. AI gives you the chance to be more predictive. Real-time analytics, so that you can surface those insights that matter ahead of time. And there is a lot of stuff that you can do that, basically around enhanced forecasting and being able to auto forecast or provide better accuracy, faster accuracy. So this is basically around planning some of the use cases that we saw. Hopefully that helps. Any views there around the planning, Nicolas, around the planning use case that
So I think how we have been using FP&A to forecast, and basically everything we do the same thing that machine learning. It's just we don't know it. But if you look at the past and find some trend in the seasonality, if you see that some clients, even though they have like a 30 days payment terms, they rather pay 45 days. If you might see that in March, because it's a big month, you have always more sales, but then in August it's quite low. If you see that when you increase your marketing budget, then like 70% of it has an impact on the sales. You yourself as an individual, you saw those patterns. Now imagine that you have much more data available, but you never process them because you don't have time. And also you might not know because you don't have the data scientist skills to do it. Now, thanks to AI for, I would say, two reasons. So AI first, in terms of processing power, you can identify those variables, those trends, thanks to algorithms that either exist or that you will build, but you can already use algorithms that exist. And let me show you one example. I will share my screen. So here, imagine all of this black spot here are actual data of sales quantity. And what you can see there is a seasonality, because around March, May, we sell more, and towards the end of the year, a bit less. And actually, I need to forecast my next 3 months. So based on this, on this historical data, I just ran a really mini code in Python, and which was done with ChatGPT. So I didn't even need to know how to use Python. I just need to understand what is happening here. And you just need to read a bit, and you can even ask ChatGPT to explain you how does it work. But basically here, what it does, it will show you a range of what is your revenue for the next 3 months. And that's something that you can do. It's not really hard to do in Excel, but you will not have the speed and efficiency to do it in 2 seconds like this code is doing. That's the first one. And second, if you think about doing that on much more data, that's where you cannot do it and you will stop. But this algorithm can do it. They can process much more data, and they can show you after visually, or you can download an Excel file with a range of a forecast either at 90%, at 95% based on the algorithm. And that's where it's not for the others anymore. You can do that even for SME, because those algorithm, that's an algorithm from Facebook here, it's called Prophet. Those are available for everybody. And that's really where I see the future is you can start doing now this, and there are much more other techniques like all of these techniques, for example, exist, and you can learn by yourself. You can try it. It's really like accessible right now. And we will see like either tools using that more and more, or I would say like big companies will start building their own model because there is the processing power to do that. And also you don't need to code anymore because the chatbot are coding for you. So that's for me really a big change right now. And that's how you can use AI to help you with forecasting. And you should also not trust blindly, because I was working for a company before where you just needed that one document was not signed, and your revenue, which was between 10 and 20 million per month, could be 1 month 25 million and the other month 5 million. Because if one client forgot, or they were on holiday and they forgot to sign one document for acceptance, then you could not recognize revenue. And that a tool cannot predict that, but can show you, oh, you have a huge variance in your monthly revenue. So the range is going to be this big. And that's what also you do when you are in meeting board. You can say, well, we're just waiting on this document, and there is an 80% chance that it's going to be signed or not signed. So that's where the human factor is still important.
100%. The human factor that is critical. And I'm very happy you shared that use case around using AI and ML to forecast. And, obviously you're such a wizard, right? So thank you for sharing the options available in the market. I think more and more solutions, especially the 4th generation FP&A solutions like us, right? We have embedded this into the product. And definitely we've seen our customers that the demand for different forecasts from different stakeholders is increasing, right? It becomes more time consuming, and you need to answer more questions. There is more pressure. And I think what's critical, and we've done this for years, right? Because generative AI is obviously newer and it's the newer wave, but ML and the algorithm you mentioned, Prophet, we've been using that in the platform for years now. So definitely those players that have done the early investment are definitely solutions that have productized and made it very accessible for the final finance user to really leverage these algorithms, ML algorithms, or just generative AI to do more AI-driven auto forecasting, to handle more complex scenarios around larger data sets. Right at the click of a button, you can select different algorithms, for instance, and then use the one that works better for your data set. Because let's face it, you also need the historical rich data set for ML to work, or for AI obviously to be more meaningful. So auto forecasting is.
I have a question on this. Do you find it now easier with the technology that is there, with the processing power, to run those algorithms that for the user it's easier, and they don't have it's not like a big like where you have to wait 45 minutes or 2 hours until it's run? Like, is it also for you, like you feel as somebody who produce tool that you can deliver a better user experience on this?
100%, Nicolas. I think that, with technology maturing, also the final client experience have been maturing, right? We've been using this for a long while, for years now, but now that more processing power is available, that the algorithms are getting better and newer, like, of course, the end experience is just better for the user. You are on the spot there.
And that's why
it's become very accessible. It's become very accessible.
And that's why, like, it's when you have like special tools that are specialized in planning, they will be able to use more and more. So like yours, more and more AI functionalities because they become more accessible and also easier to run. Because before you need to do everything by yourself. Now there is a lot of algorithm that you can implement in the tools and for the users to have a better output and better value.
100% there. And I want to follow up with Yvonne's and Jack's questions, maybe on this topic before we move on to the next one. Yvonne is asking, can we use AI to do 120 department budgeting based on the forecasting algorithm? I'm not sure I'm getting fully 100% the question, but I think I know where this is going.
Well, I think, let's imagine that you're like a lot of companies, your expenses are 80% people. If the way you have your staff is driven by the production planning, if you are in a manufacturing company, or if you have like a predictable business where you know where is your growth and where you are going to hire, then you could look at historically, okay, what are your hires based on the business growth, based on some components, and then you can plan based on this forecast. And you can also look, if you have access to the HR data, you can look and read much faster what are people going to retirement, people maybe like there is some illness or some people living with turnover, that AI will analyze the trend and will give you some KPIs to use in an algorithm to say, okay, based on all of the data that I have, I think that your departments will look like this in the next 12 months. Plus, I think you were talking about maintenance. There is also something like maintenance expenses based on the age of the machine, based on the usage. You can predict some of the expenses that you have to have, so to get some services to repair these machines. And so you can predict those costs as well. So I think this can draft a forecast for you. And then if they are ad hoc expenses or exceptional events, then that's where you will need the discussion with your the head of the departments. But for a lot of departments, you don't need, because they don't have anything exceptional. So then you just focus on the 20% or 10% that are really moving the needle. And the rest will be, I would say, automatically forecasted with the help of a mini algorithm that you have built with AI.
Thank you so much. Let me cover Jack's question as well here. Do you think that people entering into FP&A need to be AI literate? Do you think this is going to become a requirement of future roles?
So if you are here today, it means that you took it seriously, because if you are in the call, Jack. So yes, like I think if you are a business person, not even a finance, but if you are a business person, you need to understand what technology can do for you. And AI is a technology. And if you want to have more value, if you want to understand what AI can do for you, you first need to understand what is AI and also how it is evolving. I don't think, and that was actually a sentence from the NVIDIA CEO. For the last 15, 20 years, we have said to everybody, you need to know how to code. And he was actually really contrarian and saying, no, like today you don't need to know how to code, because the best way to code is to speak with your own words. And the machine will have to understand what you want to do and code for you. And so AI literate doesn't mean that you need to know to code AI. What you need to know is how to talk to the machine that you have in front of you. What is the machine possible, like what they could do? And that's prompt engineering as well, or engineering, is what are the limits of the machine and what are the opportunities. And based on this, if you know what are the risks, opportunities, and limitations and possibilities, then you will make the best out of it. And if you can make the best of a technology that can scale at really low cost, then you will make your work have much more output.
Thank you so much, Nicolas. if I can give my 5 cents, is that, I think becoming AI savvy is going to be important, and hence, that here in this audience, you cannot wait to start using AI, leveraging AI. You have that natural curiosity, and that's giving you a competitive advantage versus others. But really, now becoming, a technical expert, I don't think that's going to become a thing just because the right tools are productizing AI for people. Right. So if we were just touching base on FP&A, but also Nicolas shared some other verticals, right? Like those products are embedding AI so that it's very easy to use. So of course, it's better that you understand the dynamics behind it and the limitations and the topics around confidentiality and the frontiers. And of course, you need to have that big picture. But when it comes to actually using it and leveraging it for a forecast, yeah, that's 3 clicks away. Right? It's 3 clicks away. So you don't need to code in Python. Like, you just need to click on the right solution and software, and it will happen. Good. I'm seeing more and more questions. We have 14 minutes left. So I would suggest let's move to the super interesting last part of the webinar, which is how to build your AI roadmap as a finance function. Right? We've seen some tools. How do you build this AI roadmap? How do we start taking the first steps into that direction, Nicolas?
Yeah, so this is a question that I don't like to answer generally because all of you here are at different stage or different companies. And this is why I made this, I prepared something to make it more clear.
Awesome.
If you see here, for me, everything we see here with small companies, that's something accessible to everybody. Also, if you work in a big companies, think about yourself, like with you and your department, you are also a mini company. So I think the first base for everybody is to educate yourself on and also the use of generative AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, because those tools are available to everybody. So if you don't know how to use them, then you are also going to have difficulties in comparison with the rest. And also they can do so much. So start with this anyway, because there you don't need to have any installation of tools. And there is also a lot of knowledge available for this. I have also courses on that. Then the second part, if today your invoice processes are still done manually, this is the first process to digitalize or digitize. Maybe the English here is digitize. And now it's become even easier because before you needed to have a machine that scan, you needed to have humans that look at all of the new invoices that have new formats and to code them to teach the machine, oh, if you see an invoice from FedEx, then here that's the invoice number and here that's the amount. And so like this for the next invoices, the machine will know, okay, all of the invoices are the same, so I will process it the same way. Now with NLP, it will recognize that if it's invoice number, there is no human needed to map it to the ERP. It will map it itself because there is a 99.999% chance that it is about being an invoice number and has to be booked in the field invoice number. And so this is much faster than before. And there are tools like Azure that have also, it almost costs nothing. But first, it costs $0 to implement it. And I'm not sponsored with Microsoft, but it costs $0 to implement it. You can start now. And after you pay per use. So that's something you can start without having a big project about it. And the third one, we were talking about Python. Python is not only the code to run algorithm. You can, for example, ask Python to combine 100 files. Imagine that every day you received your sales file and is in CSV and you only look at it maybe once a month or once every quarter, but you still need to combine all of the files to do your analysis on the full list. And if instead of doing it manually, you can ask Python to combine that for you. And it takes like 2 seconds. And then you can focus the time on the analysis and not on combining the files. So that is like for small companies, I will really like those 3 starts. So now if you move and you have more budget, you have more time, you have also like, I'll say bigger problems. You can start investing in AI native tools or in tools in FP&A, for example, that have already a good AI culture and AI functionalities. Like Julio explained that in some companies like Abacum, they already planned that since a long time. They already have this feature, so you don't have to build anything yourself. It's already inside. So I will start looking at those AI native tools, and I have on my LinkedIn, you can see there is a top 100 AI tools. And then, like I just showed the graph with the forecasting, there are existing algorithms that you can start using to forecast. So I will also start looking at it. And the third one is to start automating processes where you could use a bit of ChatGPT or a bit of Gemini to do some of the process. Like imagine that you have to go through the minutes of the sales team, and you have to find from it some insights for your sales analysis every month. Well, you can have a process that automates that and give you the minutes and that what you need to use for your commentaries. So that's basically at medium size. And then you have large companies that have a huge budget. They can hire consultants. They can have like specific AI teams. There, I would say you can and you have the possibility to train your own model, to invest inside it, to fine tune it. And then you have a model that understands your business. But that requires more than only finance people and a real data scientist, but it's something that you should invest if you are a CFO today of a large company. The second one is to create your own model for forecasting. So not only rely on existing one, but create your own one. And the third one, there is a lot of people that are busy responding answers from other departments or also within finance. So you should have chatbots that are there to do this job first. And I talked with OpenAI, the OpenAI finance team, and they say that one of the first thing they did is to create a chatbot to answer to all of the questions they receive from all of the new employees about how do I get reimbursed? What about like how do I categorize those expenses, etc., etc. So all of this you can create a chatbot for your company. And even if you're a small company and you did already all of the three, you can look at what the medium company will do in your roadmap. But start small, but on something that works already, and you can get to the large one and be ambitious to do that for yourself.
Nicolas, thank you so much. I think this is great and also aligned with some of the questions that we are getting in the Q&A section. So thank you so much for sharing. I would briefly add that identifying the right tools is critical there, and they are really democratizing the use of AI by productizing those use cases, like in FP&A with us, for instance, or in some other options there, where even if you are a smaller company, you can really get a lot done in an easy way. AI is becoming more and more accessible as providers and vendors are leveraging its power. Look, another question that is related to Dimitri's question before. Finance teams, we of course handle a lot of sensitive data, right? This is well known. And then we get scared. We have access to all this data that matters from a business perspective. What should they be aware when it comes to data security and AI? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think people got scared, and it's good that they got scared, because usually humans, like, they dive into a new tool and then after they see their consequences. But it's good, I think we got aware that we have to pay attention to our data. But all of these tools are the same. They have the same structure in terms of access and security that AWS for Amazon, or your Gmail account, or any cloud solution that you use. All of this use the same security protocols. So one example, if you are using already Microsoft Azure, well, using ChatGPT inside or GPT inside Microsoft Azure for your IT team is really easy. They just have to tick a box because it's basically the same security protocol. If you are not using any of these tools, and if you are like a company that I was working for Thales, which is a French defense and aerospace company. We never made a deal with a cloud company from the US. They had to have servers in France because we were working with the government, and the government doesn't want that the confidential data are somewhere else outside of France. So all of the companies have different security demands, but it's good to be cautious, but just look at the website, read about the security protocol, and you will see that, for example, OpenAI, they say, if you, and I don't want to do the ad for them, but you have the possibility to opt out for training on your data. And then they tell you that they have security protocol and you can read about that. And once you read about it, you can see that it's like all of the cloud solutions. They use always the same principles. And it's just with you and your IT team to look at it and see if that's okay for your business. And for me, like if you are always using cloud solutions, I don't see why this time it should be something that you should not use, but you need to educate people on this. And if your company doesn't allow you to use it, there are still like all of the use cases that you can use. 99% of those tools you can use, because you just need to avoid to mention the figures or the confidential information. And like if us two, we were in a barbecue tomorrow, Julio, and we were both CFO, and we were both like in the same industry, I'm sure we can spend 4 hours talking and learning so much together without that I tell you about something confidential about my company. Why? Because figures are just one mini parameter. Like there's a lot about best practices. There is a lot about which tools to use. There is a lot about managing humans. And all of these problems, you don't need to put any confidential information to have the answer to get help. And if you need to know how to do a cohort analysis, ChatGPT is going to tell you how to do it, and it doesn't matter which data are inside, because you will take this method and do it in your own environment. And like this, you have used AI to run it, and then you have moved forwards to your goals. But I'm curious, as you know, actually, because you have a real company using cloud. So which security protocol do you use to also make sure your clients are not stressed about this question?
Yeah, we definitely get that question a lot, right? And I think it's part of the fear that, as you said at the beginning, we all have. It's part of our reptilian brain. So we are afraid of those changes, and of course, it's fair to be afraid because you need to do it in the right way. But we have invested a lot in ML and AI for years now. And look, for instance, we added OpenAI as a processor. So very importantly, we don't share specific data with OpenAI. It's just a data processor. So that means that OpenAI cannot use our customers' confidential and sensitive information to train their own models. And therefore, when somebody else is typing and prompting ChatGPT or any other OpenAI development, they won't find any customer data. You need to know how to do it, and you need to do it in the right way. But it's definitely doable. And those people like us that have been investing and know the field, like it's there is nothing to be afraid of.
No, it's good. It's reassuring. And I hear that more and more people saying, yeah, we use it. We have the right security protocol. And that's, I think now, like, it's about learning. Now that we learn more and more, people get more confident about it. But it's a path towards confidence, I think, that we need to build.
Totally. Well, Nicolas, we're coming to an end, unfortunately. This has been a blast. We have like literally a few seconds left. So I cannot thank you enough for joining us today to share your insights, to share your perspectives with the whole audience, with me. Thank you so much. Hopefully it's been very useful for everyone here.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the questions, what I really like is the maturity of the audience and of finance professionals is raising and raising. The questions were really interesting. So it shows that a lot of people have already understood a lot and are now looking at the opportunities and risk and problems that it will bring. But today we talked, for example, a lot about machine learning. And if you think about 6 months ago, nobody will have enough maturity in the audience to talk about it. So it's changing, and I see a lot of people are here today, meaning they know that it's important and they are already learning a lot.
Absolutely. We are upgrading our game. That's good news. We in finance will sponsor AI within business.
Exactly.
I love that. Good. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Nicolas. It was a blast.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Julio, for letting that happen.
Awesome. Speak soon. Bye.